Wow, in the disagreements channel. What do you want? Are you the housing guy?
Hello, I am the housing guy.
Okay, what do you want?
All right. I'm gonna do this your way. I want you to just agree with me on something very foundational first.
Okay.
Landlords stand to gain. Let me phrase this right. Landlords stand to gain enough money to make it worthwhile to rent out extra properties, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, now bite the harder bullet. Landlords stand to gain far more money from their investment properties than their tenants do if they were to smartly invest their money aside from paying rent.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so on average?
It depends on how active they are in the management of those properties.
Okay.
Do you want to dive? We
Well,
can dive into this if you want, but if they're very actively managing things, then I would imagine they'd stand to gain more money. But of course, they're working at a job, right?
I'm trying to work out in my mind how you see people who piss away anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month in rent versus someone that has that money directly funneled into their mortgage. How that person stands to be in a better position to invest liquid capital than the person with a passive income stream who has, again, somebody paying their mortgage for them.
Well, say okay.
Or I'll take a step back even.
Yeah.
If I'm a homeowner, I'm going to be paying far less money in upkeep on my home, in mortgage, in property tax, than as a renter I'm paying in rent. Unless I've fucked myself and over leveraged myself beyond belief.
As a homeowner, you're going to be paying less costs in upfront costs or something.
Because usually, the usual line of talking is, properties are expensive to own and things go wrong and a $10,000 air conditioner to replace. How often does that happen, first of all? And secondly, you could have a couple of 5-figure hits in a year as a landlord and you're still walking to the bank. Like, I don't...
With only if you're renting to a whole bunch of different people, right?
Not even. I myself rent from an older couple, and this is their only rental property. It's a townhome. It's a modest townhome. There's no chance in hell that I'm going to be able to stand to monetarily benefit as well as they do by paying rent here compared to them just by passively sitting on it. They'll make more money from that.
They're not passively sitting on it. They're actively using it for cash flow. You're renting from them. They're using it. You're using it.
Yeah, when I say passive, I mean they own the asset now, and it's both appreciating in value and generating passive income stream for them.
Yeah, well, that second part is really important. It's not passive at all. It's an active investment. It's currently being utilized by somebody. It requires maintenance and upkeep, and it requires somebody to service the legal side of things as well. Somebody's got to maintain your lease, do payment processing, it's being actively used for cash flow. Yeah,
all of those things, they all add up to a much greater standing than somebody who's paying rent.
I don't understand what you mean greater. Like, the guy paying rent isn't making money off of the property at all. So I don't understand.
No, he has a better ability to invest money by owning the property than the person paying rent. Or if I'm just a homeowner who's not a landlord, I'm in a better position to invest my money than somebody paying rent. Because I'm just not losing as much of it. Unless you think that landlords are hemorrhaging money out here, that they're losing money by having property or by homeowning. Forget the landlord part of it, just by owning a home. Unless you think homeowners are hemorrhaging money every year compared to if they were renting.
I think a homeowner, yes, is hemorrhaging money if he buys a house and leaves it sit and doesn't live in it. Yes. You're literally just hemorrhaging money. Yes.
Well, no, what? No, if they are living in it. I'm saying, what?
If they are living in it, then they're still like spending money, but they are getting a place to live. So, I mean.
Yes, but I'm going to be spending less money than if I was renting, like pissing away less money. Talk about upkeep or things that don't directly benefit me, like paying into equity.
Well, I don't know what you mean when you say pissing away money.
Rent is pissing away money as a renter, and upkeep costs and maintenance or whatever, essentially pissing away money as a homeowner.
I don't, when you say, okay. Let me take a step back, okay? Like, you say pissing away money, but maintenance on your house is not pissing away money. Paying rent is not pissing away money. You're getting something in exchange for your money in both circumstances. So
Yes, I'm aware. In a figurative sense, though, I think you catch my drift and what most people mean when they say pissing away money.
yeah, but that's the entire point of contention is I think people have a really stupid framing of like rent and mortgage payments. So I wouldn't agree with calling it pissing away money because then you've already like begged the conclusion into the argument by calling it that.
Okay, paying money then.
Yeah.
Something that's not directly contributing back to me financially.
I think in general, if you have a property that you can live in for 30 years, over the course of those 30 years, if you are renting it from somebody else versus buying it, I think on the aggregate, you're probably going to be paying more to rent it than you would to the other person if you were buying it.
Cost? The cost to the renter just through rent alone is far more than the landlord's cost to the property by owning and maintaining it.
I don't think it's going to be far more. I think it's going to be a bit more. There's going to be your profit margin is probably going to be around 10% would be my guess, but it's going to be more. But it's going to be over a long period of time. It's going to be the cost is going to be much smoother, whereas the property owner is going to have to deal with more volatility unless they have insurance or whatever. But that's going to eat into their profits as well.
Yeah, but they're also paying into their equity. So any dollar I spend in rent, I never see a gain. But for a landlord, if they're paying into their equity, sure, they still have their maintenance and their upkeep costs. But when it's time to cash out, I'm getting a lot of that back.
Yeah, but you've also lost a lot of it as an owner to maintenance repairs and stuff. That
is a drop in the bucket. Your house appreciation alone will drive that back.
Ideally, but you don't know that.
Not ideally. That's like 90% of cases, unless you live in bumfuck Nebraska or something where the housing market's probably what? What's the median home value?
Why would where you live have any influence on whether or not houses tend upwards over time? Are you saying the only way you can make money off of having a house is if you live in New York City, LA,
I'm saying when you
San
own
Francisco?
A more expensive house, I'm saying when you own a more expensive house and it appreciates, you gain more money out of that than a cheaper house that appreciates.
As a percentage of a gain or as an absolute value?
As an absolute value of the cash in equity that you own.
Sure, then just buy a bigger house in a shitty place, I guess. I mean, it's the same concept. I don't think it matters necessarily as much where you're at, but...
Okay, to back up, I said a landlord will stand to gain far more than just through appreciation of their home than they're ever going to spend on maintenance, unless you live in a rural area where houses are cheap and the appreciation isn't going to net you that much.
You're going to gain more, but it's not going to be far more. My guess is going to be that the profit margins for being a landlord are going to be about in line probably with the profit margins of any other industry. I doubt it's going to be outlandishly huge in one industry and not in the other because everybody would just invest in that industry. It's probably, my guess is probably about 10% unless you actively manage it, in which case it's going to be more, but that's because you're literally working. It's your job.
You say that, yeah, the whole thing spurred, by the way, because initially earlier you had said you don't understand why people want to own homes as like a primary goal in their life.
No, I don't think I said I don't understand. I understand it. The reason is because people are financially retarded. Yeah, because people don't understand how money works.
I know, but that's the thing. And then you pivot to the financial argument. I'm saying it's not, for most people, I've told you, it's not even a financial consideration other than being able to afford the damn thing. To have a home is to not have the rug pulled out from under you. It's to not have a 5-year-old going to school and then have your landlord go, sorry, my daughter's moving in, you gotta go.
That first of all, you have leases that you sign for periods of time. Number one. Number two.
For like 2 years.
Sure. Number two.
And those can be gotten around.
In that case, the bank can get around and take your home. I mean, eminent domain could seize your property. Like anything can be gotten around. What do you mean? Things can be gotten around.
No, I'm saying a landlord can quite literally break a lease under certain conditions that they absolutely will abuse and do.
If you're violating your lease agreement, sure.
No, like just if circumstances change for them and they want to buy you out or pay you out or whatever.
What do you think is the percentage chance of that happening?
Okay, but this is why it doesn't matter if it's low. It's the consequence of what could happen. If I'm thinking about owning a home, I'm thinking about, thank God I don't have to worry about that happening, even if it is a small chance.
Okay, and if you lose your job, you can lose your house. You can lose your home.
Okay, that's easier to bounce back from than, oh shit, now I've got to find another place to live in short order because most eviction orders are a month. And then I've got to make sure that it's still around kind of where I work, which funnily enough was something you touted as a benefit to being a renter.
You think bankruptcy is easier to manage than getting kicked out of your apartment because you don't have a job anymore?
Bankruptcy? How? Let's not jump the gun here. What?
If you lose your job and you can't pay your mortgage...
Okay, if you lose your job, most people find another job in pretty short order to help pay the bills and slowly build their way back up. Most people don't just immediately face bankruptcy from losing their job. The fuck? Especially if you're a homeowner, if you wanted, you could probably do a reverse mortgage or refinance or whatever to like what?
On a
Like, okay,
refi, you're
this
going
is
to have
what-
to,
this is
first of all, this is what?
This no. This is what's so baffling. Is it's like why
It
can't
is.
the
It's
physician
baffling because
just-
you're financially fucking retarded. You can't just
No,
refi your
it's not
house,
financial
right? You're gonna have to pay closing costs again and a whole new fucking loan. So no, you can't just like, oh, I lost my job. Let me just go to the bank and get a fucking refi.
Okay,
By the
I
way,
guess-
interest rates are
right, I guess
really
it's
high
time
right now.
for-
So if you refi your shit, you're fucked. By the way, you're gonna be at a way higher interest rate than whatever the fuck you got 2 or 3 years ago. So no, what do you mean? Yeah, Jesus.
Bankruptcy then. I guess it's bankruptcy time if you lose your job and you own it. There's no other option.
I didn't say there was no other option, but I'm saying that when you've got a home mortgage, okay, that's hanging over your head and you lose your job, that's a really scary concept. Yeah. There is no like, fuck, I can't afford my house. Let me
Just
just
as
go.
scary as losing your job renting, just by the way.
It's not because you don't have
It is actually you're right. It's scarier because I don't have any equity to fall back on if I lose my job.
You don't have equity to fall back on. What are you going to do? Start borrowing against the value of your house to pay your own fucking mortgage payments?
Sell your house. What?
What?
If it's that dire that you're saying you're facing bankruptcy from losing your home, you could just fucking sell your house. This is what's retarded. This is not a financial goal. Otherwise, if it was, people wouldn't be thinking like.
First of all, we have to hope that you're enough years into your house. Okay, we have to hope that you're enough years into your house to even be positive on it, okay? Because it especially depends on what your down payment it was, and it depends on where the market is right now, because now you're being forced to sell when you might not want to, okay? Number two, you understand that in the beginning years of your loan, you're paying a huge amount of interest. It's front,
Yes, yeah,
right?
I know.
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
there's
I'm
no
operating
guarantee
in
that if you have
operating, okay. I'm operating in fantasy land where we're facing bankruptcy after losing a job as a homeowner.
Why do you think that's how do you think that's fantasy land?
Because that's probably 10, I don't know, but as I would have to guess, that's 10% of cases, maybe, or less. Losing a job, unless, I don't know, like it would depend on the reason you lost your job. Maybe you're a raging alcoholic, then you're probably fucked. But if you got laid off or some shit happened, do you think that most people who lose their jobs, that's it for them?
It depends on the job you lose. Yes, it can super fuck your life up. And if you have a home and a mortgage,
It sucks, but it's not bankruptcy or losing my home levels of fucked all the time. These are the worst case scenarios we hear about.
okay. But the landlord coming in and just deciding arbitrarily, well, I'm going to cancel your lease and kick you out. That's like an ordinary event.
I didn't say it's an ordinary event, but it's something nobody wants to have to contend with in the back of their mind as a possibility.
Same thing
And by
with
the way,
same thing with bankruptcy.
No, losing your job would be the equivalent there. And by the way, yeah, when we're talking about the ultimate goal in life for home ownership for people, which is most people's goal, I don't know what you think goes on in people's minds, why they think it's so attractive to own a home. If they're not thinking financially smart, or you think they're all financially retarded, what do you think is the motivating factor?
People are retarded. They see house, house asset appreciate. They don't understand what opportunity cost means. They don't understand what maintenance cost means. They've never looked at an amortization table in their entire life. They don't know that 20, 30% of the mortgage payment might be escrow, depending on where they're at. They don't understand the other hidden costs in homeownership purchasing. They don't know what it means to smooth out like volatility in a loan and to pay a premium for that. Like, I don't know. There's a million reasons why people have retarded ideas where like, oh, if I buy a house, I make money. I mean, I don't know. What do you want me to say?
That's it. That's all I need to hear out of you is that you don't understand the fundamental idea behind owning a home for most people. It's not an investment vehicle or an investment decision for most people.
I already said that. If you don't want to think about it as a primary investment vehicle or a primary wealth building vehicle, you just want to own a house, that's the best reason to have a house. That's why you should buy a house.
Yes. When you were reading the Reddit thread earlier, there's a person literally laid it out for you for stability, not having to move, laying your roots down, building a lifestyle. And you said it as if it was some bullshit throwaway comment. But this is literally what the American dream was founded on, obviously.
So what, Europeans don't dream? What?
Right? What?
It's only an American thing that like if you don't have a house, your life sucks and your whole thing is fucked. What do you like? That's such a retarded fucking idea.
It's only in everywhere. If you don't own the property that you live on, you're under constant duress that you might have to move to God knows where you can afford. Here's another fun thing that happens. What do you think happens to your rent every time you have to move, typically?
Depends on what the markets are like.
No, it really doesn't, because the markets don't go up and down in housing. Destiny. They don't fluctuate to the point of where there's a time to get in on renting and a time to get out. On housing, on purchasing, sure. But that's largely because of interest rates.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. It's not a financial decision. You can say you understand that, but then it should be crystal clear to you why so many people, the vast majority even, are seeking homeownership. So that they can live in the same spot, so that they can have their kid go to school and not have to worry about getting another place that has to be near that school, or else their kid has to move schools. So that they can make renovations on their home. None of that doesn't ring true. You can't see that and go, that makes sense. Now I actually understand why we should probably push hard to make sure people can own homes instead of just demanding or telling everybody to just rent because it works for you.
I think it would be better if people made rational decisions about where they live and they don't just automatically assume that owning a home is good because it's better than renting because it's owning a home. That's fucking retarded. You're saying that it is an incredibly exceptional circumstance that somebody might lose their job and then lose their home, okay? That's what happened to my family. My mom quit her job. She ended up quitting it because of some crazy, stupid shit relating to some fucking children. And then all of a sudden, not only did we lose our job and all of our shit got shut off, we lost our house, okay, because they couldn't afford the mortgage payments, and then because they had a huge house hanging over them, they had to file a fucking Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which destroyed their credit, okay, for like the rest of their fucking lives. So when you're telling me like, well, these things never happened, this was my life, is moving through like 3 or 4 different fucking houses, okay, until my mom finally moved to Florida. My dad said, fuck it, and moved in with my grandma to a fucking apartment. And the worst thing that can happen to you there is you get kicked out of your apartment, and that's it. So this idea that you're describing like this impossible fucking event, and then you're saying like, oh, well, rent doesn't change, rent never goes up and down. Of course rent goes up and down. What are you talking about? You literally Google price of rent, and you can say go up and down depending on what the markets are at. Of course this happens. What do you mean it never goes?
Or come on.
Yes, market forces. Yes, rent goes up and rent goes down. When housing prices go up, rent tends to go up. When housing prices go down, rent tends to go down. Yes, that's how the markets work. Yes.
Okay. I'll take away the bankruptcy part because it's sort of a red herring in the conversation. It's not to do with what
Wait, you taking over the what part?
What happens if I lose my job, or what happens if we're faced with bankruptcy. These are outlier situations. Most people.
Well, if we're not going to worry about the biggest downsides of assuming 6 or 7 figures in debt, then I'd be like, yeah, but this is part of what the responsibility that you take on as a homeowner. Yes.
Yeah, and you're faced with much of the same when you're renting.
No, you don't have a liability like that. What are you talking about? The only liability you have is your lease.
You have a liability.
Wait, what?
For a bit. There's a very specific situation you're describing. It's not the super niche situation I'm describing. You're describing a situation where somebody has over-leveraged themselves, has fucked up and lost their job horrifically, can't get a new one quickly enough to save and salvage their home, et cetera, et cetera. This is why I'm saying to step away from it, because you're obviously locked into this. Because it's
but you're on the other side. You're in a world where like the landlord comes in and he says, "I'm violating the lease and kicking you out and breaking it up."
No, I'm not. I'm saying that any number of things can happen when you're a renter to force you to move if you don't want to.
Like what? No, they don't. They shouldn't happen that much. No, what are you talking about?
It can, and it's not such an impossibility or a small percent chance that it could happen that people aren't thinking about it. That's like top of the list for me as a renter thinking about homeownership.
Wait, what is at the top of the list? What is your worry?
To be forced to move.
Forced to move how? What for what?
By a landlord for any reason that they provide. If you're on a 2-year lease or something like that and it ends, you don't just get re-upped for another 2 years. It converts to a month to month, at which point at any day they can decide, actually, I'm going to evict you.
How old are you?
29.
Okay.
I don't know what.
Because I don't know what your 2-year lease should never convert to a month to month. If your lease is converted to a month to month, it means it shouldn't. That's just wrong.
This is also, how can you even say when this is also
because I've rented. I understand. You should be re-signing a new lease before your lease term expires. Why would you let it go to a month to month and then pay whatever the 50% increase is before you renegotiate a new lease? If you don't do one, then you move at the end of your lease term. Why would you wait for it to lapse to a month that's going to be way more expensive and then try to redo it at that point?
It's based on state and it's the law. Oh my God, this is so fucked-hearted. It's the law. Sometimes that it has to automatically convert to a month-to-month lease.
In what state? Maybe it is. Maybe there are some states. I didn't see this in Nebraska, California, or Florida, but maybe in other states, maybe there is. Show me. Or what state should I look up?
I don't know.
Maybe in some it does.
I don't know, but I live in Canada where it is the law of the land. So, but it's the same deal.
So you're telling me, so if I look up, hold on, just to be clear, if I look up in Canada, if you have a year-long lease in Toronto, okay, and you're coming up to month 10 or 11, you're telling me that you don't get in the mail a thing saying, hey, your lease is expiring. Here are new terms that we're offering you. If you don't make any decision by this point, we either are evicting you or assuming you're moving out, or you're going to be converted to a month-to-month where you have to pay this fee every single month. You're telling me you don't get a letter in the mail like that? Instead, it has to lapse. You have to pay at least 1 month of fucked up rent, and then you go to your landlord and you ask them to renegotiate?
I don't know what you think goes on, but no. And again, I'm assuming this goes on in several states too that have renter protection laws, or at least more than others. But if I sign a 2-year lease for a certain amount of rent, at the end of that 2 years, if we haven't renegotiated in some way and both agreed and signed to it, it just converts automatically to month and continues.
Yes. If you don't renegotiate a new term or do anything else, yes, that will happen. Correct.
Well, and that nobody does that because they can only increase the rent by a certain amount every year anyway, which they will. So what would be the point of the renegotiation if you're going to say no as a renter? I'll stick with what I've got, thanks.
Oh.
What?
Okay, wait. So your month-to-month isn't even... Okay, you're a Canadian. This makes more sense. Your month-to-month isn't that much...
You can't do that Canada meme without pointing out the difference.
No, I'm about to. That wasn't even an insult. If you live in a rent-controlled unit, your lease converting to a month-to-month doesn't matter that much, I'm guessing.
It's not rent controlled, but there's rent caps on increases each year, which also is a thing I'm pretty sure in a lot of states.
Sure. Well, for instance, in my studio downstairs, I think I pay like $3,800 a month, and if I didn't renew the lease for another year, the month-to-month would increase to like $5,500 a month. From $3,800 to $5,500 a month if it goes to a month-to-month. But if you live in a place where the rent increase is capped, or if you're living in a place where it's rent controlled, you say it was rent controlled, but the rent is capped, then I can understand you wanting it to convert to a month-to-month. But in most places in the US, at least every place I've ever rented, if your 12, 13-month, whatever term lease converts to a month-to-month, you're paying like 20, 30, 40% more. But if you're telling me that the month-to-month on yours doesn't increase that much, then that makes sense what you're saying. Sure. Okay.
All right. I'm just trying to circle back to how we figure... So your average advice for people is if you're trying to be smart, you shouldn't be moving towards homeownership.
My average advice to a person, my average advice is if you want to buy a home, make sure that you're buying the home because you want to live in a home, okay? That's what you're buying it for. You're paying it for a house because you want to live in a house, okay?
Yeah, that's everyone.
No, it's not. Number one. Oh. And number two, make sure that you're going to be there for at least 5 years. If you're not sure that you're going to be there for at least 5 years, rent something until you're more sure.
Again, basically everyone.
Okay.
What? Okay, but then so now from my end of things, the horde of people like me screaming from the rooftops are asking for more housing to drive down the cost and subsidies for first-time home buyers to increase the floor of the market.
The what? Say that again?
I said, okay, and then from my end of the equation, people like me are saying, can we please get on board with building a lot more housing and subsidizing first-time home buyers more?
Everybody should be on board with building more housing, of course.
Well, you'd be surprised to find the number of people that aren't, or at least that don't agree that that's the primary driving force here on how to not fix, but address the problems in the housing market. Okay, well, from where I'm sitting, that's how the conversation should go in my mind. Housing is extremely expensive in major metropolitan areas because of the land demand and because of how popular it is to live there. So we should be trying to build a lot more in and around those areas and densifying to increase the number of units we have.
I don't disagree with that at all.
The common talking point backwards is building houses more won't actually decrease the value because more people will just want to live there as you build more. I don't know.
How long have you watched my stream for?
What? I don't know. It's odd for me that you'd have no pushback against that if you're at the same time telling people that they're wrong for their main dream and goal being home ownership. Your
main dream and goal can be home ownership, just not because you think it's an amazing investment in a wealth building vehicle.
Nobody thinks this, though.
This is what everybody says. If you look in the United States, I can't speak to Canada, but the United States, the home is literally the primary wealth builder for the majority of American families.
Yeah, the nature of the beast, because nobody invests at all.
Yeah, I know. Again, that's a problem. That's bad. That's not good.
Okay, but people don't think about it at all, and they don't think about it when they're buying a house either. They're thinking about setting their roots down, settling down, right? They're not thinking of, oh yes, this will accrue me much more wealth over the years.
Okay,
that's just a safety net.
I feel like I
see. Or if I get bankrupt.
I feel like I see a lot of people saying stuff like that, but you know.
Okay, and I see a lot of people doing everything except just get on board with the whole please build more houses.
Yeah, that has always been my number one thing. I've never disagreed with that. So, yeah, but I
Well,
agree with the build more houses. Yeah, of course.
Please just let's lead with that. We can all
I always lead with
together.
that. I always talk about this when it comes to housing policy.
No,
Yes.
you don't. I've seen it. Okay, there's like 3 or 4 times I've seen you always trot out the same garbage shit, which is houses are expensive to own. Nobody contests this. Nobody thinks this. No, like what? I don't know where that comes from. And and like I said earlier, landlord, homeowners, they still make bank from their appreciation. Doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Based.
But I'm glad we can agree that we should be building more houses. This is good.
And by houses, we mean ultra high density, high rise condos and apartments, right?
Depends where you live. Where I live right now, there's a lot of high density and a lot of single family homes and no middle housing for like low rises and stuff, townhomes, which is what there should be more of for here specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, can you hit a 950 one of these fucking days, please? Kind of tired of watching my favorite streamer suck shit at Rhythm.
Okay, I'll do my best. Be careful. Okay, I'm doing a 960 just to shit on this fucking guy. If I get a 960, that guy will never own a home, okay? He's 29, he's renting right now. If I get a 960, he will never, ever own a home. I'm going to move to Canada and have 20 children, and we're all going to vote against expanding housing. My whole family is going to follow him around everywhere he goes, and we're always going to show up at every city council meeting, and we're going to say, no, not in our backyard. We are not building more housing. Wow. 960. 960. My first one ever. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Listen, 947 is enough to keep him out of a house until he's 35, okay? Okay. Let's go one more. Let's go one more, okay? Come on. We got a 960 in here. I know we got him in here. What? 936. Come on. We got it. We're gonna try the enter bar this time. Enter. Let's go. Okay, enter bar wasn't working. Hold on. God damn it. Okay, back to the space bar. It's right there, guys. We're so close. It's right there. It's right here. Oh my God, we're so close. We're so close. Come on. Oh my God, we had one it was so bad. Come on. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. Come on. Bro, this is unbreakable. This is my glass ceiling. This is my glass ceiling. Wait, maybe if we do mouse clicks. You're right. Oh my God, you're right. The mouse clicks. That's what we need to do. You're right. You're right. The mouse clicks. Let's try this. Okay, hold on. We're getting it. Hold on, I gotta get you. I'm training. Oh my God. I fucked this. I missed the last two. It's not the mouse. Whoever suggested the mouse, fuck you, okay? You fucked it all up. You fucked us all up. It's right here. It's right in here. It's right in here, guys. It's right in here. I can feel it. It's right here. What?
You're going to love this. Trust.
And it saith is to go even further beyond.
We just gotta channel, guys, okay? This.
No, stop it, go.
Okay, this is what we need. This is it. We've got this, okay? We can do this. It's easy. This is so easy. It's right there. It's right there. It's right here. No, this one. Okay, we're right here. Come on. What? Okay, okay. Back up a little bit. Back up a little bit. Back up. Let's back up. A little more. Back up a little more. What is happening? Shut up. Shut up. What is happening on this?
I'm guessing most of you folks have heard.
I'll cue you in. Arabam. 3, 4.
This is it. This is it. Okay, we're locked in. Okay. All right. We're this guy. Okay, we can do this. Okay, let's go. We can do this. Come on, we can do this. Lock in. Lock in. What? Oh my God, I got too hyped. Hold on, I got too hyped. I got too hyped. We're rushing. We're rushing so hard. The last song was fast. It was fast. It was fast. It was fast, okay? Fuck this. Okay, last one. I can't. I just can't do it. Can't do it. I can't do it. Oh, it's right. We're right here. We're right here. We're right here. We're right here. Look at how close. Look at what's happening. Come on. It's Ooh. Fuck this. Fuck this game. It's the keyboard. I need a new keyboard for this. The problem is the polling rate on this keyboard is so low, okay? It's not picking up my absolutely precise inputs, okay? Also, apparently Lauren dropped out for tonight, so it's... It's Cam Higby.
Street. This is a street that
There,
parallels
have
the
fun. Watch this
110
on the back.
freeway. It's a very narrow service area, service street, and you can see him. He's going to come up on. He's going to be forced to make the left here. This is. There's a few dead ends over here, so if he doesn't know where he's going, he could end up locked into a cul-de-sac or something like that. He's got the window down. He's got the visor down. So you really can't see him, but he still has those windshield wipers
got his phone in
going.
his
And it
right
looks like he
hand.
might be on the phone.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yes. He's holding it.
That's probably why he hasn't stopped those windshield wipers from moving, because his hands are occupied. One's on the steering wheel, the other one's on his phone. And yeah,
You
he's
might
busy.
be able to see better than me, David. Is he looking at the phone, or is he?
On and off.
He looks like he's moving. I don't know if that's...
The first
Oh,
shot, the
man,
one where he
that's
got a good shot, he was definitely thumbing something on his phone and trying to steer at the same time.
94th and Main Street, crossing Main, down 94th, continuing. Look at the damage there on the passenger side, and it almost makes you wonder whether that was there or whether he has done that. Most likely, I'm going to go out on a limb. This is purely a guess. Probably an impact that he made during the course of this pursuit, but for all I know, I mean, this was, again, that's not his vehicle, so we just don't know. But the driving that we've seen here, we've seen so many close calls. We just haven't made an actual visual of him actually coming in contact with any other vehicles, but he's continuing these random turns now in an entirely different neighborhood, where in the Southwest Division of LAPD's jurisdiction, just to the west of the 110 freeway, Southeast Division, I should say, Southeast, pardon me. Still, though, no sign of any black and whites, but what you do see here is a lot of people crossing the road, going about their day without any anticipation of this guy flying down these narrow streets here. Once again, crossing Avalon Boulevard with cross traffic, continuing to speed through these residential neighborhoods. And at this point, you just hope he runs out of gas at this point.
We're all on edge, Chris, right? But I did want to ask you, so no black and whites tailing him, but what about the chopper? Is there a law enforcement chopper overhead?
Yeah, California Highway Patrol still has eyes on him. They are still calling out the location, and back at dispatch, there is back at the station, somebody is watching and ready to make that decision. You have multiple jurisdictions, though. You have California Highway Patrol. They're watching this very carefully. They have a helicopter over the suspect. You also have LA County Sheriff's Department with their own decision makers at the helm. They're watching it go through their jurisdiction. And then you have LAPD, who is watching this madman drive through the streets of Southeast LA in LAPD's jurisdiction. So you have any number of agencies here on top of some of the smaller ones that we've traveled through, like Inglewood just a moment ago, where anybody can make the decision to engage with this suspect, get units in the area, try and set up for a spike strip if they have the opportunity. There you see, he's rolled up that window. He's got the phone in his hand, the phone in his right hand, using his left hand to steer the vehicle, making wild, random turns, continuing as he goes over the double yellow lines here, a whole line of traffic on 92nd Street at a red light. And you can see traffic is starting to pick up here as he makes his way down, going the wrong way on 92nd. Folks pulling over to make way for this guy as he continues to speed through Southeast LA without anybody's safety in mind here. This is just so dangerous.
And traffic is only going to get worse. It's just a few minutes after 5 p.m. on a Friday. A lot more people will be hitting the roads in their cars on their commute home.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally he's found some empty roads, but overall, there's a lot of traffic out on this Friday afternoon, and you can see him occasionally encountering that traffic. And in this position, he's actually forced to stop. Look at him.
He's getting out.
getting out, dumping the vehicle in the middle of the street.
Or she.
It's a woman.
It's a woman.
It's a woman jumping out of the vehicle with a backpack, now running for it, but there's nobody behind her. There's nobody behind her. She's just dumped that vehicle, a stolen Kia Soul, in the middle of the road, and now she is just going for a jog as if nothing ever happened. And without anybody in the vicinity, she could very well hide out easily if she found the right hiding spot here. But she's just going to jog up Compton Avenue here on the sidewalk. We're going to follow her each and every move here, but on foot, they have an excellent opportunity to try and get some law enforcement in the area to get this woman into custody. She is a real danger to the community, and I sure hope we see this end, with an arrest here, because she's got to be taken off the road.
Absolutely.
Well, and you would think that law enforcement is mobilized to sort of, get in there as quickly as possible. Now that if we can see her, the law enforcement shopper can.
Oh, they're
see
watching
her.
as well.
Yeah.
They're very identifiable with the white pants and the jersey shirt or whatever that is. And then she's not gonna run too fast. I mean, she's already kind of getting gassed, so you could tell she's really tired.
That's the ironic thing. That's the ironic thing about it. She thinks she's just. What is she trying to do here?
She's hitchhiking.
Stop.
A hitchhike turned into a carjacking.
Come on, really? This is unbelievable. This is out of control. I mean, what is she going to do? She has no idea how many eyes are on her. She thinks she's going for a Friday afternoon stroll down Compton Avenue. She's about to be rudely awoken here if she continues. If she tries to hitchhike or carjack somebody, this is going to take a much different turn. Look at her stopping traffic, trying to get a ride, looking at her hands, trying to beg for a ride as she continues walking up Compton. This is unbelievable. This is incredible.
This might be a first to see a pursuit suspect then get out of the car and then try to hitchhike.
Does she not hear the choppers?
Well, she's probably
she must.
She
must.
Multiple choppers but I'm so fascinated to see if law enforcement decides to pick this person up, or is she just going to walk and walk and walk? Where is she from? What's her story? We just don't know.
She's had plenty of opportunities to hide. She could easily, find private property where she could hide. She's not making any attempt to hide. She's sticking with the sidewalk here, just trying to. I mean, who knows where I doubt she knows where she is, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong. But she's really looking for a ride. I mean, she's desperate for a ride, and I just don't think she understands how many eyes are on her. But she is still continuing to try and wave down other motorists. It's not going to be long. I know it seems like it's taking forever, but there are officers on the way over here, and it seems like it's, we're mere seconds or minutes away from somebody pulling up here with lights and sirens flashing. But right now,
and those people there, I wonder if they know what's happening.
We have seen signs that there are people watching this, and we saw a couple of guys just a few minutes ago on an intersection that saw her going by and clearly, physically, waved and were excited about that. Those folks on that balcony might have been watching this as well, knowing that she's coming their way. So this has become a little bit of something. So there are a number of folks out there that are watching this pursuit.
Yeah, LAPD has units on the way. So LAPD Southeast units, I believe, are actually making their way over here. Like I said a minute ago, it seems like it's taking forever, but they are aware of this. They are watching this live on ABC7, and they are clearly aware of her movements, and they are trying to get units into position here as she continues to hustle towards 100th Street. She's got the phone still in her hand, a backpack and another bag as she starts to pick up the pace once again here down Compton Avenue. And again, not venturing into any private property. She's sticking with a public sidewalk, which tells me that she's not really making a big effort to hide. She's had plenty of opportunities to hide in a way that we would never find her and law enforcement would lose track of her. That's not the situation here. But what I am curious to see is, as this pursuit starts to go viral on the internet, at what point do we start to see other people?
Look,
there's somebody right there with a phone.
Shooting video of her.
There are already people, that, just as I was saying that, there are already pedestrians on the street there well aware of this woman who is just walking through the neighborhood, and they know she's up to no good. So
But now she's on
this is
private
now
property.
public knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Joanna. Go ahead.
She's on private property now.
She is now in an apartment. Yeah, she's in an apartment complex. Looks like a parking. Yeah, these are two apartment buildings. She's in between the two, and CHP with eyes on her here. We'll see if she
might have ducked in
She
somewhere.
might have walked into one of these parking garages.
Yeah.
Or one of these carports. I don't think she came out the other side. They lost her. They lost her inside, in between these two apartment buildings.
She could have knocked on someone's door, right?
She might just be hanging out in the shade. That's a parking garage right there, so she might be hanging in there. They're all watching
Look at these
her.
people. See, these people know exactly who she is.
Oh, yeah, and they're all
And everybody is watching on their phone here, trying to catch a glimpse. They're watching online. They're trying to record it. But she is somewhere in this vicinity, and they are now in a position, now that she's on foot, they should be able to lock down this apartment complex, or at least this one square block. Right. However, it's been at least 5 minutes, maybe I'm losing track of time, maybe even more, and we still see no sign of LAPD. We know they're on the way, but right now, no sign of LAPD, as this woman has more and more time to hide, whether she's just getting some shade or taking a rest, like you said, David. Good possibility there. She could just take a breather inside the carport undercover and wait this out.
She could be hiding under a car, and we don't know what the strategy is for law enforcement. They may know who she is. A lot we don't know yet.
Well, behavior alone, she's still a threat. She could be dangerous, and now she's hanging out in this property here. We don't know where she is or if she's trying to get into somebody's place. And there's a CHP helicopter that's been watching her as well. They know where she is. There's an approximation at least, and from that they could track her down. But to state the obvious, the good news is she jumped out of the car. That's when she was the most dangerous.
That's when
Far
she was
less
the most
dangerous now.
Right, exactly right. I don't think they know who she is, because for all of this pursuit, they've been referring to her as a he. Okay. And so I think they were just as surprised when she stepped out of the vehicle. This was a stolen vehicle, a stolen Kia Soul. Not sure where it was stolen. But her actions here, well, you're right, David. I mean, she's really, now that car is abandoned, she is not a threat, not as much of a threat anyways, as she was earlier. And now there is a belief that she is indeed hiding out in that carport, likely the one on the right there, but I'm not sure. There's two buildings there with two separate carports, and she is somewhere in this vicinity.
Yeah, and it's possible that all of these pedestrians we're seeing are calling 911 and letting authorities know that she is at that property.
Is this guy talking to somebody? I don't see anybody he's talking to.
Is
it possible that somebody's over there?
He's talking to somebody.
He's talking to somebody.
He's talking to somebody.
For her.
Oh, maybe he's just talking into his phone while he's looking for her.
Got it. Yeah, we're going to try and come around the other side here, see who's on the other side of that fence. He was talking to somebody. I don't know if it's her, but he was talking to somebody near that dumpster. And who knows at this point if she's, I mean, it's just impossible to see. We can't tell, exactly where she is, but he appeared to be communicating with somebody behind that fence.
Yeah. Well, this has really been a fascinating pursuit. I mean, we took it with some question
Front of the building. All right, somebody's got eyes on her in the front of the building. That's going to be the California Highway Patrol helicopter, who has made eyes on the suspect.
Could she
has
have
apparently changed clothes.
Yeah,
she's changed clothes. Oh, same clothes. Sorry, I'm sorry. Same clothes. She's in the same. I'm sorry. I'm getting conflicting information. She's in the same clothes now, and hopefully we'll catch a glimpse of her here on the front of the building. Look at the crowd that's starting to gather here. Mm-hmm. There's somebody with their phone out. She's in a doorway.
Are they pointing at something?
People are pointing at her, but
or are they trying to get the attention of the
no sign of any law enforcement here. I just have to reiterate, what we're watching here is going on I'm closer to 10 minutes now, where there is no sign of law enforcement. We heard that LAPD Southeast units were on the way out here, but quite frankly, guys, I can't tell you I'd be surprised if they just abandon this. It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they are very quick to let these go, if there's not an immediate danger to the public, and
we
they
don't know
don't feel
that.
like it's
I mean,
worth, they have. We don't know that, but they have other business. They have other calls coming in, 911 ringing off the hook left and right. If a woman who's no longer in that stolen vehicle is just walking around South LA, it becomes here they come. LAPD Southeast units. I'm sorry, Highway Patrol and LAPD. LAPD and CHP, two separate black and whites, now pulling up to this apartment building. And if they can get eyes on her, they'll be in a better position here. Otherwise, they're going to need more units to lock down this area and try and corner her. But at least there are units here. CHP and LAPD both responding out here to the end of this pursuit.
But look at how casually everyone else is walking around. That makes me a little nervous. I don't know.
Hopefully they can help direct them to where they think she is. I just kind of, I kind of think that she still should be seen as a threat, because when it comes to her behavior during the driving, and also who knows what her mental state is, and if she's now trying to hang out in somebody's private property, trying to hide out, that could be tricky. So he's going to go check this out.
So he's moving a little quicker. Maybe he sees something, maybe he doesn't. He's definitely spoken to a few witnesses down there, and now you see that CHP officer heading back down that alleyway in the same direction that we were trying to find her earlier. So somewhere in between these buildings here, somebody has made eyes on her, and as far as we could tell, she hasn't moved over to a different property. I think she's probably still hiding out near this parking garage. I imagine if we stay here long enough, this officer will eventually bring her back out to the street if he finds her. But yeah, you can see the crowd here. Everybody over here seems to be well aware of who she is, just based on what they're seeing on their phones and online.
Yeah. I'm just so curious to see where she is, or if she actually was able to get into somebody's home from underneath there. And there's probably a lot of places that she could be hiding as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hiding spots here. She is on private property, so she is trespassing. But again, when we talk about those petty crimes, was that the officer?
Yeah, it looked like he was looking around the back of the other building.
He's looking around. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most of when you talk about some of the all of the traffic infractions and the trespassing charge, I mean, these are all relatively petty misdemeanors relative to the actual theft of the automobile. But other than that, guys, it's going to be probably a mental health situation at the end of the day. But right now, you can see there's an LAPD officer in front, a CHP officer in the back. They are trying to track her down.
Yeah, this could be something that takes a while. So I don't know if there are other units showing up, or if it's going to be left to these two officers to kind of assess and get out. But I hope everybody in that apartment building can at least assess their own property, so they know that she's not intruding on them, because there's law enforcement right there that can help out if she is.
All right, so I'm being told that CHP may have her. The officer, the CHP officer who was walking through there, may have her. Whether he has the right person is yet to be, yet to be seen here. Nope, there he is. He's coming back out empty-handed here. So we had heard a report that CHP possibly had somebody in custody, but now you can see him coming around the building here, talking into his radio. He's got his hand on his weapon and still trying to find her, now perhaps possibly inside this building.
Oh,
additional
he's running in.
CHP officers running in there now.
Okay.
Private security, LAPD, CHP, all walking through that doorway. Maybe they have eyes on her, but we did have a report just a few seconds ago that CHP possibly had somebody in custody.
Okay, so this is coming close. I guess it's reassuring to see that they are quickly moving, so that it looks like that they at least know an approximation of where she might be. Somebody might have told them where she is, and then so they're quickly running to where that is. Hopefully they'll get her. More.
Yep, more
Yeah, we have
LAPD units pulling in here. You
backup
can see
coming.
them continuing. Yeah, backup now arriving, going through that doorway. Again, I want to just kind of caution, even though we have a report that somebody's in custody, many of these situations sometimes end up with a mistaken identity because the officers on the ground don't have as clear a description as we do. We've been watching her for the last, however many minutes, so we know exactly what she looks like. But those officers on the ground may, maybe rounding up some people who they have, a suspicion of, but not positive identity. So we'll see. They may have somebody in custody. We'll see if it's the right woman, presumably inside the building, as we've seen now a number of officers walk through that doorway.
Yeah, and perhaps the local security guard. I think you mentioned there was local security there. Maybe they.
It looked like a private. Yeah, there was somebody in a white shirt that looked like private security. We know we saw LAPD go in there and several CHP officers. So I'm getting more reports that we are getting confirmation now. Somebody is in custody. I think we'll find out here in short order whether it is indeed the right suspect, but somebody is being taken into custody as we speak.
Right. And obviously authorities don't believe that she is dangerous, maybe that she's not armed, because they're allowing people to walk around. They're not establishing a perimeter to protect people. They're not telling people to stand back. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. I think they want to keep the crowd back for sure. They obviously have a better idea now. They're focusing on that doorway. So
the crowd is largely.
I'm sure they are keeping people away. We don't see that crime scene being established just yet. But at the end of the day, again, they're gonna, if they do indeed find her, it won't exactly be a large crime scene. They will take her into custody and figure out what the situation is. But they are calling in for backup. There is a little bit of crowd control. They want to keep people back just in case things go sideways. Absolutely, Giovanna. But it does appear from everything we're hearing that somebody is being taken into custody, and now you can see that LAPD officer in a much more relaxed stance in front of the building,
and here she goes.
Some more residents coming out here. Again, a lot of commotion. You have a number of helicopters overhead, a number of law enforcement vehicles surrounding the building, and so any second now, I think we'll have our answer. But it does indeed seem like they do indeed have her.
All right, so we're debating on whether to stay with this and get and see the moment they pull her out, or we need to move on to other news. Here come some more officers.
Are you still with me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to tell you, we're getting some more information from our assignment desk that they are giving the code 4. So the suspect is in custody. They are on the second floor of that apartment building.
Interesting.
But they are calling for an ambulance.
Okay.
So the condition of that suspect is now very much in question. What happened on that second floor, again, very much in question, as the suspect appears to require immediate medical attention. They are waiting for that ambulance now. That explains the delay here, but units are now converging on the second floor of that building right there, but they do have confirmation that that pursuit suspect is indeed in custody. They have issued the code 4, just waiting for an ambulance.
Right.
Okay.
So some unanswered questions. Maybe she penetrated somebody's apartment, but we'll find out as we wait there. And I think what we're going to do is move on to another other part of the newscast. Chris, we're going to go back to you as you have more information for us. So thanks a lot. We'll check back with you in just a moment. Other news now. One day after federal prosecutors announced the indictments of 5 people in the ketamine death of actor Matthew Perry, we're learning more about the defendants.
On the left, Jasmine Sanga, known as the Ketamine Queen, and Dr. Salvador Plasencia, who is accused of selling Perry.
Did they catch him?
Yeah, probably.
I'm sure it could help.
What's also, I'm not plenty.
Yes, but at what cost? It was a woman? What? She got tased and died? Wait, what? Destiny's best debate ever.